Hi everyone, welcome to World of Tanks with stewiejp. I'm Stewie, you're not. This is part 2 of this. Looks like it's going to be a 7-part series featuring the new maps, or the updates to the old maps in World of Tanks Update 1.0. Coming to you soon. Lucky enough to have been offered a little bit of a sneak preview. And so we're having a look at some maps. And some of these maps I have seen before running around in trading rooms by myself, and other ones I haven't. And this is one that I haven't seen before. This is Ensk, probably one of the smallest, or certainly one of the smaller tier 10 maps that are out there in the game. Once again, where the red line is, just as you saw in Himmelsdorf and all the other maps in the first video, you can see past the red line, which I think really adds a little bit of I don't know, realism, I suppose, is probably the word I'm looking for in these maps. Of course, this is Ensk. Ensk has been around for a long time. You can see how the road and more little tramways or light railways here in this one. You can run through that one, which is pretty groovy. And what's this say? What's this say? Everyone speak Russian. If you know what that means, it looks Russian to me. Anyway, we're on Ensk. It looks like there's been some kind of parade. The roads look wider to you. I don't think they are. I think it's just because of all these new visual effects in the maps, city maps, countryside maps. I haven't done any desert maps yet, and there won't be a desert map until in my video series anyway, until the next episode. Looking here, this one looks a little bit more open, but again, I think it's just your eyes playing tricks on you that it looks a little bit more open, just because there's more, there's green and there's asphalt, there's buildings, all that kind of stuff, and that just makes it look a little bit more open. We're going down the one line, and there's these. I'd love to know what these signs mean. These red signs that you see across the road. They look like they're all saying the same thing. We're going straight down the guts on Ensk. You can see there's some barriers there, some barbed wire, all that kind of stuff. A lot more visual effects, even though the map itself looks very similar to the map, but it's mainly the visual effects. Some more trees, which is a little bit unusual on a city map, but you can see how they've added trees to the road, like a little median strip. This is posters on the walls. They look pretty groovy as well. This is a bit where the heavy tanks sort of do their thing in the city part of Ensk. Let's continue on to the central square of Ensk. There's a big portrait. The square definitely looks greener. I don't remember this being that green in the normal version or the old version of Ensk. We'll go down to the southern spawn, see what's down here. This looks, I always thought this was a bit of a racetrack, this thing that we're sort of heading towards. And now on the mini map, it's always looked like a track, and now it sort of looks more like an athletics track and a soccer oval, which I reckon looks pretty groovy. You can see the stadium there, and again, past the red line, you see a lot more detail out in the distance, which just adds a little bit of realism, I suppose, to the map. Makes it, I don't know, hard to describe. It just feels better. That stadium looks pretty groovy. That's always been on the mini map on Ensk, but I don't think it's ever really been a feature, unless maybe my graphic settings are a little bit different. But I really think this is pretty good improvements here. Moving over to the eastern side of Ensk, what can we see here? Again, more greenery. It's certainly greener than I remember. Check out the field. Definitely more destructible objects. There's, like you might have seen in part 1, some trees aren't falling over as easily as they used to. I think that's a graphical bug more than anything. This is obviously still a work in progress. This is still at super test phase at the moment. It's not even on the, when I'm recording this, it's not even on the closed common test, I should say. Lots of destructible items out here in the field on Ensk. Oh, that looks pretty cool. What do you reckon that is? That looks like a water tower. And once again, past the red line, there's still lots of things to look at, I guess, past the red line, which is, I don't know if you'd really have time to look over there when you're playing in the heat of the moment in the battle, but it certainly does look pretty, that's for sure. It's going to go up to the northeast before we move on to our next map, which is going to be Lakeville. And this looks, I reckon that hill looks absolutely fantastic, and it looks like that you can. It looks like you can still go there. Like it's quite seamless. The graphics from the map, which the battleground, which you can see here, over here to where part, which is it's just there for aesthetics. It's very seamless. It looks they've done a very, very good job. It looks like you can get to it, but obviously you can't. You can knock over those fences though, which is not that you'd really want to in game. See if you can. Like that box, that outhouse. You can't blow it up. Like if that was on this side of the red line, you'd imagine that you would be able to blow it up. A little bit of a wheat field here. Some trains. I love the trains in these. I reckon they look fantastic. These trains. Just checking out back to the north spawn. More railway lines. It's just a massive amount of detail, if you ask me. I reckon they've done an excellent job. It certainly looks good, and again, a bridge. Looks like it's a railway. Is it a railway bridge to the north? Obviously, we can't go and have a look at it because no, it's not. It goes over the railway. It's just a road bridge to the north. I reckon that one looks pretty groovy indeed. As we go back to the garage, we'll get Lakeville fired up. What do you think? I reckon Ensk looked pretty good, if you ask me. Ensk certainly looked good to me. The detail is quite astounding, if you ask me. That's what I reckon. Same as in the first video. Prokhorovka, Paris, Malinovka, Karelia and Himmelsdorf. That was on the first video that I've done that I did like this. Apologies if the commentary is a little bit stuttering. This is all new to me. This is all brand new, and I'm doing most of this on the fly. None of the maps, I think Murovanka I've seen out of the 4 maps we're doing in this video. Look at this though, look at Lakeville. That looks fantastic. Having a look over there to the western side, look at those snowy mountains. They just look unbelievable. The grass looks awesome. Look at those snowy mountains. Let's go down what I like to call the Valley of Death on Lakeville, and you can look at that house. Is that can we shoot the car? Yes, we can, but that car is on this side of the red line. Look at that. That's a continuation of the valley, if you like, up there at A2, A3. Of course, you can't go down it, but how good would it be if you could just go out and explore in a training room on all those beautiful mountains and stuff. Now, let's have a look. This certainly looks different. This is Lakeville. This is the valley on Lakeville. This certainly looks a hell of a lot different. Looks like there's a lot of mud around from where tanks have been driving. That's what it looks like. Is that water? It is just a little bit of water. And this rise here, where people often go on Lakeville, you can now get past that little bit there, and it seems a lot flatter, and it's certainly not as soft. The terrain's certainly not as soft as it once was. It does look soft, so that could be an error, but the whole valley just looks a lot flatter. Can you get up here from this side? Maybe not quite from that side. It looks like you can you certainly can from the north though, if you go up here. And that's not, you wouldn't even call that a boost, that's just turned into a little bit of a hill. And look, if you were brave, you could sit in this bush and try and spot stuff, but I reckon you'd get out spotted pretty quickly. There's always someone who goes down this valley. Let's have a look. Like this has actually been mentioned with the testers. This terrain does feel very, very soft. Very, very not soft, I should say. Like it's nowhere near as soft as it should be. It looks like you can also climb up here. They've flattened out a lot of that valley by the looks of things. Let's go have a look down here in the corner where the tanks, destroyers, and artillery often hang around and do their bizzo. Now it looks like you could probably climb up some of this. Not that you probably wouldn't. Not sure if you'd want to, but this is certainly a map which graphically has been enhanced a hell of a lot. It looks absolutely beautiful. And even kicking back here, like if those buildings there, just on the other side of that red flag, that's where the fighting happens on Lakeville. But look at that. That is just magnificent, that background. Look at that bridge, that massive old arch train bridge. That's and tunnels through the mountains. That just looks absolutely fabulous. This is all new to me. This is the first time I'm seeing this map. We'll see what the middle road has, and then we'll come back through the city. Middle road certainly looks different as well. The middle road, hopefully I don't flip it like I did in yesterday's video. Middle road looking more like a track than a road. These bushes that you might be able to spot stuff from, they look like a few little changes. You can still see. You can see. Look at that. There's a train. Look at that. There's a train going over that bridge. That looks fantastic. That train going up through the tunnel. I don't think I can hit him, but I'm going to try, aren't I? Let's have a look down the middle road. This looks absolutely beautiful. Now, these bushes have changed. I'm sure. This is a map I don't mind playing on a light tank. There used to be 2 bushes here, I'm sure. There was one bush. There's always been one bush here, and then from the south, if you continue up, there was always 2 bushes here. It looks like they've taken one away, or they've just maybe centralised it. So that I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Because if you're spotting from here, and if the enemy team think you're lighting up this part of the map, they only have one bush to shoot at if they're going to blind fire where they think a light tank might be. So I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. The lake certainly looks nice and clean. They've certainly cleaned the lake up. That lake looks absolutely magnificent. It's a beautiful blue colour, the lake. And of course, like I mentioned, this central road of Lakeville has certainly been changed. The direction the road goes is similar, but it just looks a little bit more like maybe a bike track rather than a road. But it'll still be a pivotal part of the gameplay, I would say. Again, this road here has always been here. This is where the heavy tanks normally go in the city in Lakeville. And let's check the city out, and then we'll head towards the southeastern part and try and get some more views of that lake. That lake is magnificent. Now this city it certainly looks different, but I don't know if it's just the graphics. What do you think? Is it just the graphics, or is it of these houses being moved? A little bit of water on the road just to look pretty cool. And look at the sunlight. Look at the sunlight going through that puddle. That looks. I haven't noticed that on any other maps. That looks pretty spectacular, if you ask me. Nice and green again. This building doesn't look like. A lot of the maps look a little bit flatter to me. I don't know if that's just my eyes playing tricks on me or not, but it certainly, look at that. As with the other maps, after the red line, you can still watch. Oh, you can still look at other things. I've just heard a bell go. Now, some trees. See that got knocked over, but before when I touched it, it wasn't being knocked over. It was simply. It was simply wobbling, which I think that's a bug. I think that's a bug in the super testing, and they've still got a few little bugs to iron out, and that's why it's still being tested. That's what they test for, I guess. As we move down the southeast part of Lakeville, this house were these houses here? I don't think they're destructible. Certainly not. I'm not sure if these houses were here before. I remember that being a little bit more open as we head down towards the southern spawn. Still looks those mountains, that backdrop of the mountains looks absolutely amazing. Now this bit here is a little bit lower. I don't know if that this bit of land here that's lower than this road is. I don't know if that's part of the game already or not. If it is, it's just not as just doesn't seem as noticeable to me. What are those? What are these things? Little boxes. See the grass move when you shoot? Watch this. That looks pretty cool. I'm not sure what these boxes are. Not sure at all what those boxes are. There could be. There's more there. idea. What would those boxes be? What do you think? Let me know. Let me know what those boxes might be. We'll move in towards the lake, and oh look, there's a little bit of a shallow spot there while it looks at the lake. But of course, as we all know, this lake's pretty deep. We've all fallen into this lake a few times, and this lake is very deep indeed. Merry-go-round. There was a merry-go-round on Ensk as well, and let's see if we can plummel into the water and see how deep it really is. It looks like it's not as deep as I thought it might have been. But there you go. What do you think of Lakeville? Lakeville looks absolutely fantastic, and of course drowning is still a thing. And see what happened with the water when it drowned. All those bubbles that came up, that looked pretty groovy. If you ask me, we'll move on to the next one, which is going to be Murovanka. Murovanka, one of the greener, not Melanovka, Murovanka. That's the one. One of the more greener maps in World of Tanks, and we'll see how that one looks. I have had a bit of a look at Murovanka, and like the rest of them, I reckon it looks pretty spectacular. Once again, if you look during the countdown, the music, I think there's going to be a different tune for every map. That's what they're talking about anyway. Not sure how many tunes are actually in the Super Test client, but I think they're doing a total rework of all the music in the game. And once again, with Murovanka, you can look past the red line. Let's see the background, more mountains in the background of Murovanka, which I'll tell you what, that looks absolutely fantastic. I'm going to start with the western flank of the map, where the heavy tanks often do their business. Then we'll go back for the middle and then have a look at that magical forest over in the east. And once again, this looks all that farmland with those trees in the background looking pretty good. Now once again, I don't know if it's my imagination or if it's just because I'm not used to the graphics being the way they are. It looks like it might be flatter than it once was. I don't think it is. I really think it's just maybe my imagination. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do these maps all look a little bit flatter? And what's that going to mean? It'll be easier to get up on these ridge lines, which is probably okay, maybe. But of course, if it's flatter, it means it's going to make the game a little bit easier for artillery to hit their shots. That's if it is flatter. It could be my imagination. I would not be surprised at all if it's just my imagination. Having a look down here, this looks pretty similar to the Murovanka that we all know and love. The apart from the graphics being a lot more impressive. Look down towards the south, and we'll go back up the middle and then check out the forest. Just all the colours just look a lot sharper. And it could be because I'm running it on. It could be the graphics engine. It could be the difference in the settings between my game and the Super Test, or it could be the graphics engine. Who knows? But everything certainly looks a lot sharper. There's a big. I don't remember that building being in the middle of this field on Murovanka. That's a very impressive looking piece of architecture there, and it's a similar kind of farmhouses that we've seen on the other maps in the middle of Murovanka, and that's what we would expect, I guess. Let's have a look up towards the northeast, where the tank destroyers and the artilleries often kick back and snipe from the north spawn. Have a look over here, and once again we're going to get close to some water. We're going to try not to drown ourselves in this one. We'll have a look at the water and see how groovy the graphics look in the water. If you look there again, looking up past the northern red line, you can see that water over there. It just looks beautiful. You can even see, if you can't really see it like that, but if you zoom in, go in sniper mode, you can see another village where another battle might be getting fought, if you like. You can see the village there with the houses down there by the sea or by the river. Gee, it just looks. I'm pretty impressed. There's an example you just saw of trees wobbling, and I think you might even see that when we get into the magical forest. See, some of them are falling over, some of them are wobbling. Again, does that look like it could be crossed? I can't see where the red line is. I don't want to drown myself, that's all. I think the red line would be in the middle of that river, so I'm not even going to try and cross that river, but that would be that'd be something if you could cross that river, that's for sure. Is that thunder? Or is it aeroplanes? I can't see any aeroplanes around. There are some dark clouds. Maybe it's thunder that you can hear. There's another island by the looks of it with some houses on it. Some beautiful looking houses. There's that red line. And just like in the other maps, after the red line is obviously there for the battle, but the graphics don't change on the other side of the red line, which I reckon looks pretty good. Here's these ridge lines where the mediums and some heavy tanks do their business. Doesn't look. Oh, is there more or less trees? I reckon they're probably the same. Probably the same amount of trees. Lots of trees in this thick part, and you'll see some of those trees. They just wobble as you drive through them. Now I'm not sure if that's intended or not, or if it's something they're just testing, or if they're all going to fall down when you knock them over, like is in the current clients. Getting down towards the southeast, checking out some more water. The water looks absolutely beautiful. Makes me want to go for a boat ride. That looks really good. And of course, on this map, it's not as bright as some of the other maps we've seen. Not as bright as Malinovka, apart from the similar names. It's not as bright, so it's like the sun's starting to set. That's the sun over there, and that's the west, so the sun must be setting. And once again, a nice, good-looking magical forest and a forest map on Murovanka. We'll move on to the fourth and final map now, which is going to be Ruinberg. Ruinberg, a little bit different. It's going to be Ruinberg, obviously different to the the green that you see in Murovanka. So we'll move down to Ruinberg. There it is, and we'll check that one out in this little T100 LT. Once again, music starting up as soon as you click battle, which I reckon is pretty good, and you get that little zoom out, zoom in effect. Lots of this looks pretty cool. They look cool. What are they? Zeppelins floating around over the town. And already, I reckon I can see a few things that are a little bit different already. Just the way the graphics are showing these buildings. This circle here on the mini-map, that looks new to me. And I reckon that's a different tune than the one we've heard before. Now this circle, I'm tipping this circle has been in the game, but just not as pronounced either on the map or in the on the map or on the screen, I guess you could say. Got that broken down column there. And I just realised you can get around here behind these buildings. Now these buildings, of course, are in Ruinberg in the old client, but behind the buildings was always grass, wasn't it? That was always grass and quite green behind these buildings. But now looks like they've gone for the pavement to match up the city feel of this map, I suppose, and to match up with this road that leads to the northeast corner. And once again, you can continue to look. You can see what's happening beyond the map when you're up near the red line. And I think what they've done there, even though it feels a little bit smaller, this map, I don't think it is, but these roads here, you know, this part, if you look at the mini-map, this part here in the mini-map is obviously city, and they've made this feel a little bit more like a city with these roads up here. They just look a lot more urban, I guess you could say. You got these. This is clearly a park with a fountain over there, another fountain over there. They were already. Was it how many? Oh, I thought it was only one fountain in the game there. Maybe I'm wrong. I remember the one that's right in the middle of the field. Up here where the medium tanks and the light tanks often do their thing. It looks like they've opened it up a little bit, but I think that's mainly just the detail in the lampposts, the roads, the cobblestones. You can see if you zoom down, you can see the cobblestones. You can see the individual flowers and leaves on the trees. That one looks a little bit bugged. It looks a little bit blurry there, but those plants certainly look pretty realistic to me anyway. We'll move down here. This is where the light tanks and the medium tanks often do their thing on Ruinberg. These these old cottages, would you call them? Cottages, houses. They haven't changed a great deal. Can you still shoot between these buildings? It looks like you can't. There used to be little gaps, didn't there, between these buildings that you could shoot between. Not all of them, but most of them, I think, or some of them certainly had gaps between them, and you could often catch people out. You could often catch people out by shooting between these buildings. Let's just see if there's a gap between these two little funny looking cottages. It looks like there is a gap between that one, ever so slightly. It's a very slight gap there. Not sure about these one, or was it this one that had the gap? I reckon it might have been this one that used to have the gap. Not too sure about that one. Let's check the field out anyway. We don't want to waste too much time looking for gaps in buildings. Let's check out the field, see what this looks like. These buildings are very, very similar to what we're used to. Those buildings, just a little bit more detail. Little gun there, another statue. Guns and statues, they all look pretty cool. There's the sun's over there in the east, so this looks like the battle's taking place in the morning. Sun rises in the east, doesn't it? A few little undulations over here, a building there, some more ruined buildings over there. It looks like evidence of more fighting happening there in the south, which that looks like that's probably where the name comes from. Ruinberg. That the rest of the city looks absolutely ruined over there. If you look in the south, past the red line, and that's what I mean about the red, past the red line, having more and more detail as we head towards that city where all the heavy tanks do their thing. This is underneath all these Zeppelins. Hopefully those Zeppelins don't drop too many bombs on us. You can see in the distance, churches in the distance. They look absolutely amazing. Moving down here towards the southwest corner, where the TDs and RDs often kick back and drop turds from above. Is this still going to be a spot over here? Oh, this spot here, you often see tank destroyers here. Are they still going to be able to? Looks like they are still going to be able to snipe from back there. That's not too bad. That looks. These buildings that looks like they've had a few bombs drop on them. They look absolutely destroyed. These buildings, don't they? It's a pretty good job, I reckon, they've done with this one. Must say, I've been pretty impressed with the maps I've seen so far. Get a little bit of air, and it just looks like it's just been opened up a little bit, doesn't it? This circle here in the middle of Ruinberg, this bit, that bit right there. I don't think. Was that like that before? I don't think it was. I don't think that was cut all the way back. They've opened the city up a little bit. Maybe to, or maybe it was like that. It's hard to say, isn't it? It's hard to say without looking side by side, but looks pretty good if you ask me. There you go. This will be it. Just 4 maps in this video. Hopefully you've maybe spotted some more differences than I have. Those Zeppelins, they certainly look pretty good as well. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. This is the second one. I think it's going to be 7 parts of this video, so I hope I don't bore you too much, but hopefully you'll be able to see some differences on the maps. Once again, thanks for watching, everyone. Take care, and see you all next time.